Nick.
Hey.
What's going on?
That was
buddy?
weird.
Hey, that's how we roll. We're live. No, we're not live. Now we're live. We call it
Well,
live.
we're live in the sense of like we don't go back and
Exactly.
mess with it.
We don't go back and mess with it. Exactly.
So if we F up,
We F up.
it's permanent.
That's how we roll. How you doing, man?
Good.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. How's life? How's
Our
things?
7 listeners have been clamoring. at
I
the
know. They've just been hacking our socials. And
Yeah.
going, yo, what's up?
Banging down the doors.
We appreciate you.
Yeah. It's true.
What's
It's been good.
Yeah, it's been kind of wild again.
been wild,
It's picking up. Things are busier again.
Yeah.
Things are kind of moving along as things open up. I'm just trying to avoid.
I know we're trying to avoid
Trying to
it.
avoid it.
Well, we can
I'm
avoid
so
it.
Sick and tired of talking
We
about it.
Spider-Man trailer.
Dude, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
I like
well,
it
I
a
mean,
lot.
how can you?
How can you not?
How can you
Right.
not?
Well, like they were saying, like if you're a Spider-Man fan,
It's gonna be
the next
like
couple months
yeah.
is like epic. 'Cause
Totally.
Between Venom 2 and
I still, man, Venom, like Carnage. Not. I don't know. I
not feeling it.
no, because like I feel like it's not gonna be violent enough for it to be Carnage. Like
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah.
also they just. I don't know. There's no way that they're going to be able to make it anything else than just like a CGI blob
Yeah.
fighting each other. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
how they had the how they sort of set up the fighting.
Yeah.
In the first one, when the two symbiotes were fighting each other.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
What was that one's name? Chaos? No,
Rampage? No,
I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Damn it. But anyway, but it's just like too blobby. Like it's too CG.
Yeah.
You know. Like,
My only thing about it was I don't feel like now I'm colorblind, so it's tough. But I don't feel like they made him red enough. I
Yeah,
wanted
like
it
it's
more
washed,
like a
like it's washed out.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a blood red,
Yeah.
right? Like a
well, then,
like
and then if
red.
if it's like he's sort of like washed out dark red, and then Venom's black, and then it's in a dark room and they're
It's gonna
fighting.
blend.
I just don't know what the hell's. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
But
I think those are my big concerns too. I think story wise, like I like how they've portrayed Venom and like even the comedic, like
Yeah.
So I think that they in the first one it worked really good. Have they put out a rating for this one yet? Have they said if it's going to be?
I thought it was 14A.
If we're, oh, so
I thought
yeah.
it was
Oh,
PG-13
so
or
it's
whatever.
totally not going to be violent enough.
Yeah.
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 If it's 14A, yeah. But then they're talking about like how they're going to blend this because they said I think there was a report that Venom is eventually going to make his way into the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And so that'll be like into the MCU, I should say.
But I think it's also a little bit of like Sony still playing the games where it's like a little bit of a bargaining chip
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
When I think it was August 23rd. Okay, dude, is it that long ago? 2 years ago when they said they were going to pull Spider-Man?
Yeah.
That's been 2 years
It's been
already.
2 years.
I remember us having the podcast
Yeah.
of when that story broke and that's been 2 years already.
Yeah. Dude, I was like
The time, holy man.
I was cleaning out some old files and I like couldn't believe that I shot that I shot that picture. I'm like, that picture was still during this thing?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
And you know what I mean? And I look
Yeah.
at the timestamp and I'm like, what? Like it's yeah.
Well, like I mean, one thing like I was talking to a buddy about yesterday, nothing makes you realize your time more than having a kid. And like with our daughter,
yeah.
it's been wild because it's like I like you look okay, you're almost 7 now, and like you can actually like she's growing, and you realize I'm growing too. Whereas if you don't have like that reference, you're like 10 years, you're just kind of like I feel the same.
Yeah.
Like like nothing's really like I don't really feel a little sore or whatever, like whatever. But when you see your kid growing and then you're growing, you're going like, oh my god, like. That time has moved,
Yeah.
and I can actually watch it move now. It's kind of like watching a tree. If you really pay attention to a tree in your yard, like this is how old I am. We're paying attention to the trees in our backyard.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that tree has really grown. How long has it been? 4 years? Oh my god! Like
Well,
it's so funny.
It does. I'm like, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's been, and it's like people forget. I mean, I remember. It's like to me, it felt like. Yes, like a month ago, you were like, there was a lineup outside the grocery store.
Yeah.
To like, to keep the distance and blah blah blah. So it's like, but it's been it's been 18 months. Like it's not and also I remember too, like I lived in a different place.
Right.
Like I had
That's a big
moved. Like
milestone,
we
right?
bought the
It's that
house and I
milestone.
moved,
Yeah.
but during all this,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's like
It's
it's
interesting.
weird. I don't know. Like it's
The
scary.
that's the one thing
It's
about
very scary.
actors that's very cool about like a lifetime actor. And I bring this up because I just watched that documentary the other day, Val, about Val Kilmer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What a that is it was good. Like for a movie that someone made about themselves. Like they made the documentary about
Like it was his
themselves.
footage.
Like it's
Yeah.
his footage and it's like he's the one telling the story, right? So you're thinking, it's gonna be kind of skewed and
Hmm.
whatnot, right? He was actually like really humble. And I was super blown away by it. But the other thing after watching that movie, I was blown away was how much he's actually been a part of that I just kind of like never thought of.
Yeah.
But the unique thing, staying on topic, from an actor, Tom Cruise, he was
Oh
like
man.
18 years old when he did Legend,
Yeah.
right? And then he can watch time through all of his movies, what time has done to his face, everything, right? CG's kind of messing with that now,
Yeah.
but then like watching Val, like he was cool because he filmed so much behind the scenes stuff with his own camera.
Yeah. Yeah. He just brought his own camera.
And like
Yeah.
he's got shots of like Kevin Bacon and Sean Penn in the green room of a play that they did together when they were in Juilliard.
Yeah.
But it's like that's Kevin Bacon and like that's Sean Penn and they look like they're just some like you watch like James Dean, like that's what these guys are in this, like they're like James Dean versions of like they're just some young kids, future aspirations. They're not like stuck up, like money hasn't hit them yet. They're just some dudes chilling in
Trying
like
out. Yeah.
in a green room dancing and stuff. And you're like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like I love watching those kinds of documentaries because it humanizes like them even more.
Yeah.
So media kind of over exasperates what they really are, and a documentary like that really humanizes them. And what's even cooler or more unique about that like with this Val, is that he is the way he is now with his throat cancer. Like they've completely removed. He has to talk through a tube and stuff. Like I don't know. Like I've like rediscovered Val. I'm gonna go back and like watch all his movies. Like my favorite movie with him was Willow. I loved
Mm.
Willow. And I mean I'm a fantasy guy. Like I love
Yeah.
those fantasy kind of styles. But it was just really good. But that's really neat about actors is that they can follow. If they started really young, they can follow themselves and like they can put it on a shelf. That's what's kind of, they can put their timeline on a shelf. Yeah, I was a different character and whatnot, but there's my face and that's
Yeah.
what I looked like. And that was 1984 Top Gun. And I was like young, spry.
Well, like so getting to
that's
Tom
so
Cruise real
cool.
quick. So I watched. Social media is kind of funny that way because I can, it's in the ether. I don't even know where I saw it. I just remember seeing it.
Yeah, it just flashes
Like it
past your face.
flashes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was like a 30-second exchange between Jamie Foxx and Jada Pinkett Smith in Collateral, the movie
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
with Tom
with
Cruise.
Tom
Yeah,
Cruise.
yeah.
And man, I love Michael Mann films.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he even shoots them with that grit
Mhm.
built into the
Mhm.
lens. Like I mean, just like how
Well,
he shoots
it's
it.
almost like it's like a high gain on the camera.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
right.
like
It's a high gain.
grainy.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so it's borderline. Like if you didn't know, you'd be like, my TV's fucked.
Yeah.
Like
Or you're like, this is so amateur.
it's so amateur hour,
Right,
right?
yeah. If
Even
it
just
wasn't
the
for
way,
the fact of the angles that is shot in, you'd be like, this is really amateur,
Yeah.
But it's
and I'm like, fuck, that's a killer movie. So then I brought Alexandra she'd never seen
Yeah.
Collateral. So we were just
that's a crazy psychological.
and then I'm like, okay, we're watching this thing,
Yeah.
and we watch it, and she's like blown. Well, we're both. I mean, to see it again. I mean, to rediscover it, it's just like everything going on, the Stockholm syndrome,
Yeah.
like where Jamie Foxx all of a sudden you see that they're almost borderline.
Gonna get into it.
They're like friends.
Yeah.
Like him and Cruz's character Vincent, they're almost become friends because they're stuck in this thing together, and they like.
Okay, yeah.
But whatever. But anyway, and then but she's like, when was this movie made? Because the phones were flip phones, right?
All right.
So she's like, when was this movie made? And I said it was 2004. And she's like, man, to think that Tom Cruise has been doing this for 20 years. And I like thought, I stopped. I'm like 40 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she couldn't believe me. She's like, well, when was Top Gun? And I'm like, in the
1984.
80s. I'm like, early 80s. I'm like, that wasn't even his first role.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and to see him now, like, it's kind of wild. And I don't know how much of super secret Scientology sauce is flowing through his veins. Like, I don't know, maybe, Xenu he's got the energy
Yeah.
flowing through him.
He's preserved.
He's preserved. He's got rid of all those thetans, and he's like got so much like.
But he looks great.
But he looks. So now you see him in you see him in 84, Top Gun. Then you see him in 04 in Collateral, and he's. He's physical. Like he's punching, he's flipping,
and he's one of those dudes that does it all himself. It's not fake. Like, I mean,
well, and so there's one scene where he kills 2 street thugs.
Yeah,
and he does it with gunplay.
Yeah,
and like all the experts are like he would have had to have practiced that.
Yeah,
for like non-stop to be that good with a pistol, and he did it exactly how they would do it. He's like, that's exactly how we would do it, and then all of a sudden, flash forward 2020, and he's like in the, and he's like in an F-35 again.
Well, and
pulling G's and hanging, and then he's like for Mission Impossible, he's like hanging off the sides of planes. He breaking his bones, and like it's almost unbelievable.
Well, like those guys
to be 60,
and those guys have done like legit like CIA training. Like when you think about like if they take the role seriously, they have to do those things. Like when you look at Keanu Reeves go through the courses, the gun courses. He's like
with
scary good.
Yeah.
Scary good. And everyone that watches it, experts that watch it, they're like, yeah, like he's legit.
Yeah.
So he's an actor,
but he had to do that.
You could flip the switch on him. And he could.
Well, it's like, and you talk about, and
you go do it for legit.
You talk about those like shoots, like so. Even going back to Val Kilmer with the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah,
I don't know how much. I haven't seen the documentary yet, so I don't know how much he talked about it.
Yeah, he talked about it. Yeah,
but it's like the hellscape of those shoots. Like, so you're not. It's like you are not. Like, yeah, you get paid. Whatever it is, 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like between the press for doing the movie, like, so, we've announced Val Kilmer's starring in this. So you go on a press tour and you do interviews and you do this. Then you go to the shoot and it could be
it was a legit island.
Yeah.
He was like legit.
They literally had to cart them out every morning.
Exactly.
And they were like getting food.
No, they stayed on.
They were getting food poisoning.
That's
they
a
were
really interesting part of the
malaria. Like it was like, and so you're like.
Oh, the humidity,
the heat. So you're there for however long it takes. In that case, it was a complete nightmare. But even if it goes smoothly, you're talking 2 months out of your life or 3 months out of your life.
Yeah.
Then you stop it. Then you have the press to release it. Like
and that movie was a nightmare. Apparently, I don't want to tell the story, but that movie was a bloody nightmare to make.
Yes,
from just like people perspective, it was like kind of
Marlon Brando, the personalities
kind of those
involved.
movies that was like cursed.
Yes,
and he does mention that he's like, this is just a movie that was just
doomed,
cursed from the get go, like between directors quitting and just situation scenarios and Marlon Brando on top of that was like a hero of Val's. And again, I don't want to tell the story; it's not my story to tell, but. That's arguably one of the more difficult times of Val's life. All happened within the month of shooting,
right?
Island of Dr. Monroe, and because lots of personal stuff in his life happened and things like that. So just check it out; it's worth the watch. Just from like it's just so cool to see the other side of the lens.
Well, just to see that it's work.
Yeah.
Like the movie
and these
star,
guys are as human as you can
they're
get.
human and they are working. It's like, so it's like that feeling of it goes back to that. Like, I don't like that when people are, if you, it's those going back to the Jeff Bezos people.
Yeah.
It's like, if you think, or Elon Musk, it's like, the wealthiest guys on the planet, or those CEOs that make 200 million a year. Like if you're running Coca-Cola or whatever. And it's like, if you think you could do that job, think again.
Well, it definitely takes a different personality.
It takes a different personality. And
even to be an actor.
Yeah. Well, even to do stuff like, I mean, I don't know how you would go about, like, I always think about, this is just my own thing. Like, I can't do water.
Okay.
Like, I'm terrified of water. I can't swim.
Oh, I
have the fear of drowning. The whole thing.
Yep.
Boats, not a fan, you know,
Yep.
like just in general.
Yep. Yep.
Water is not for me. Like it's just period. But it's like the the constant attack on your own comfort
Mhm.
that being an actor would entail.
Yeah.
Like in the sense of, oh Nick, yeah, oh good news, yeah, you're up for this part. It's like, what is it? Oh, it's Aquaman. It's like, oh well, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Peace out.
Well, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like, but then you say like, no,
Nope.
but you push
Yeah.
you push through it. It's like, oh, in this scene, you're falling into the water, and it, you know, we've got to. Sorry, we can't fake it. We've got a camera in the
Yeah.
water. You got to do it. And at a normal job, at a normal human being, it just wouldn't process. You would just
Mhm.
be like, "Pfft, forget it, right? But you're talking about your livelihood in the truest sense of the word, where it's like,
Well, you could always not take the role. I mean, they read the scripts.
but then how many times can you not take a role
Well,
before
and
the
that
offers,
was
the
that.
script stop coming?
Yeah, that was
Right?
something like I've heard numerous actors say is, especially when you're starting out, if you're offered a role,
Yeah, you
you
have to
don't say
take
no.
no,
Because
right?
if you get, it's kind of
Well, it's
like in
like
the
our
corporate
businesses.
world,
Yeah,
right?
like I
Like in
mean,
the
in our
corporate world, you
business,
say no
yeah,
once, that could mess you up, and
you're
it
offered a contract and you have
sucks
to,
that it's that way,
right?
right? But it
You
just
know,
is, and like if it means that you need to relocate, you relocate,
yeah,
right? It means I've got to uproot your family. You uproot your family and you move.
yeah.
It's kind of wild. Um, and I've heard this from numerous actors that have played Batman. They all said that suit
Is the
sucks.
devil? Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
hell
yeah,
in rubber.
yeah.
Like it's just and so again, not to taste, but Val talks about the Batman role,
Yeah.
and yeah, like just the uncomfortable. I remember watching a lot of the behind the scenes of The Matrix, and Keanu Reeves and oh, her name escapes me there.
Carrie Ann Moss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so um, she does this flip. She's on, and she
Yeah.
rolls her ankle or breaks
Yes,
her
she
ankle,
breaks her ankle. Yeah.
and like you just see the devastation, and it's got nothing to do about the ankle. It's
Yes.
about that I can't continue,
Yeah.
and just the devastation that goes through. Uh, Behind the scenes of Batman, Michael Keaton, 1982,
89.
89, or 89. Um, I'm trying to remember the girl who was supposed to play Vicky Vale.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know.
so she fell off her horse and got injured a day before she was
And they
supposed to
didn't. And
fly
they
to New
didn't.
York, and
Yeah,
so
because
then
they can't stop the
they
shoot.
swapped her
Yeah.
and put in
Kim Basinger.
Kim Basinger, and that basically made her career.
Yeah.
This just so like
Viggo Mortensen.
yeah,
Aragorn.
yes.
You know. Yeah.
So really, like those are very. I love those stories. I hate that, I mean, it's sad that those, certain things happen to people, but that's life. But those stories that really humanize the person.
Change. Well, it's literally all it is a microcosm of what everybody goes through
Yep.
every day, but it's just on like such a grander scale.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day,
That's in a spotlight.
that's
that
in a
everyone
spot,
can watch.
right? But it's like it's so true. It's
Yeah.
like so when somebody asks you how your business got so big,
Mhm.
or somebody asks you how you how you made it in the music business, which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
How you became an actor, all of that stuff. It's literally just it's like they can't even explain it to you.
Yeah.
Because they like the people who do it.
It's just I was here, I
Don't
was
know.
there, I was
Yeah.
working towards it, and a lot of those guys like they break into the scene not the way that they were trying to break
Right.
into the scene. So
Yeah.
they're doing something over here and something gets noticed or happens over here and then they
Yeah.
they get that call, right? I love when Jamie Foxx, if you listen to some of his interviews, whether it's on like Howard Stern or Joe
Mhm.
Rogan, his stories are awesome.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I love how he was like this party dude, and like I was like known for hosting the best parties, and like people kind of because he just knew people.
Yeah.
He just he was just connected, and Kanye West came to his party one day and
Yeah.
just busted out some raps and whatnot, and then he's like, yeah. Then I was like, I took off and I was doing some stuff, and then I hear this song on the radio. I'm like, oh shit, this is really good, and then I find out it's that kid that was at my party, and he was just some kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, really, had a backpack, really eccentric. Those stories are awesome.
Yeah.
They're totally awesome. And Jamie Foxx tells them like really, really well, right? And then when you go through the humanity of like, say, Robert Downey Jr.'s journey,
Totally.
with his father, and he was like ingrained in the business.
Yeah. Like from the he
ingrained
just
in the business, right?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of flowed through, and then he got into the some of his problems, his personal problems, and then come back and like the whole Iron Man thing and like it's an epic.
Yeah.
Like his story will be an epic movie someday.
Yeah.
Like his life, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what's so excuse me, so unique about those actors is like their story is so engaging and entertaining if you just take 2 minutes to listen and look past the lens of a movie, right?
Yeah.
And the bullshit that media spits out of like, oh, this relationship is falling apart, and it's like like fucking my neighbor's relationships are falling apart too, and we're not reporting on him. Why is it so like,
Yeah.
I mean, they entertain us. I had like I kind of got. I've always been a grumpy about Justin Bieber. I don't know why. I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm jealous. Maybe maybe that's what it is. But anyway, there was some footage of him maybe a month ago or something. He's going into his like he has a house in a high
Oh
rise.
yeah. That one. The TMZ story.
And he just stops
And he tells
all
the
those kids, those girls,
and just give me.
and he's
Yeah.
like, listen, like this is my home.
Yeah.
Like, but and I don't know why. I just all of a sudden got like this snap of respect for him.
Yeah.
Because it was like, yeah, like the dude's just a dude. Like if I ran into him at a bar, I'd have a drink with him, probably just talk about, dude, like tell me like how's your life? Like what's it like? I wouldn't if I was him, I wouldn't want people.
No.
And so
But
I
they
like
have,
felt for him.
But they have to.
But he
see,
wasn't
being.
he wasn't being grumpy or angry. Like he was.
I know, but it's
he was being real with them,
but
and
it's
I liked that. I thought that was cool.
But it's a slippery slope because
Yeah.
it's also like that you don't get to where you are without that.
Without that
Bond with your fans. Like it's like if they're not knocking at my door of my house, like of my house or whatever, it's like how like how are we going to?
But I feel like you're totally right. You are totally right. Like because you do have to.
So
you gotta accept
for
the
instance,
devil.
For instance, like it's because of a workshop I did years ago, but in the music business, like they quantify your fans' rabidness by dollars spent per head
Right.
at your shows.
Yeah.
Right?
Whether it's swag or tickets
swag,
or whatever.
not tickets. No,
not tickets.
no,
Just swag
just swag
and
it's just swag.
CDs, albums.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Downloads today.
now downloads today. So now, like I remember, they had an entire. They had to adjust Taylor Swift because her spend was 25 cents a head at her shows. So 50,000 people, let's just say, came. It would, in terms of sales at the booths and all that stuff, it would work out to 25 cents a head. And they had to find a way to boost it. They wanted it to be $1.25 a head.
Oh, that's a big jump.
Which is a big jump. It's a crazy big jump, but it's also, so that's where they, at one point Spice Girls were like $4.25 a head in merch when they were at their height. So they literally were like engineering a way for her to like connect with the audience, right? So when you get to that point, when there are people in your business who are like, no, where you have to find a connection equals money.
Yeah.
Then that's your business. Like that becomes your business in the sense.
But if you're like I'm gonna use the word woke because it's like if you're aware of like how this stuff, which
so if you're in the know, like
it's a stupid statement from myself because a lot of people aren't. It's not an insult. It's just like people want to live that life, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it with we did one episode where we were talking about K-pop and we had that
the K-pop band.
Yeah, that K-pop band. But then so the two guys that started this company that found that what are they called now? I can't remember the name of the band now. But they were on a talent search to create another one.
Yeah.
And they were very like open about it. It's like, we're looking for the next sensation, right?
Yeah.
And when I read that article and I visited the website of this company that creates these, like it's like Disney.
Yeah,
Disney created Britney Spears.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Like they
create Justin
her.
Timberlake.
They create these people, right?
Yeah.
And it was so bizarre to read that and come to that realization of like, this is all fake. Like it's
Yeah.
all manufactured.
Yeah.
And that's a weird, I don't know, like that. When you get too ingrained in that information that's what it is, you start to look at everything objectively.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, what is manufactured? What is real?
But so
What's authentic and what's not?
so if you're Bieber and who's it? Usher?
Well,
You
yeah,
found him.
well, no, it was
It
like
was
some dude.
no, it was it was a rapper found him. It was Usher. See, thank you.
Bieber?
Thank you, Ryan.
No, Google that. Bieber was not found by Usher. He was paired up with Usher, but Google that, Ryan. He wasn't found by Usher. He was found by some dude that was Googling, that found him on the internet, and he saw him sing when he was he was making YouTube videos, and this guy found him.
Yeah, check it out, Ryan.
Check it out, Ryan. Usher was his mentor after he got found by that other dude, though. And I'm trying to remember his name. I remember because like there were some pictures of that guy. Well, when they roasted Bieber, there you go. That's the dude.
Okay.
Because
Well, okay, so
when they roasted him, that Scooter guy was there, and they were making fun of Scooter because they were like, you found him on the internet looking at little boys that like they were making fun of him in the roast.
well, so okay, so that actually proves it actually. So that's to my point.
Yep.
Is like, so if you're that person that Scooter finds, Scooter comes up to you, and he's not too creepy. And they say, we're gonna make you a star. You would be insane to think automatically that you're not in a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
So, like, how self-deluded would you be to say, you know what I mean? To say like that another good-looking guy with a little bit of chops and a personality, and we pair him up with the best producers on planet Earth, that it wouldn't happen for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
So there should be a bit of there should be a bit of like self-understanding.
You would hope, but how is there self-understanding for? I mean, like he was like 14.
There and
right?
fair enough.
And then like everybody, I think that self-understanding gets thrown out the window because everyone's got that dream of fandom and
Yeah.
fame and glory and money and all this stardom stuff, right?
But they don't know what it means.
Well, I don't think
It's
you
like,
can know what it means.
It's like
until you're in
Meghan
it.
and it's like the class. I mean, it's like Meghan and Harry.
Right.
You know, like the same thing where it's like, did you seriously think you wouldn't have to be part of that?
Yeah.
To be, you know what I mean? Like, what did you think would happen?
Yeah.
Like even Meghan, like in a very just general way, it's like, I met this guy who's a prince in the royal family, and I'm a waitress / failed actress. What did you think would happen? And great, you're in love, awesome. But when you get plucked out of your waitress job and you get shipped to Buckingham Palace,
that's a big change.
it's a big,
I think Disney's made some movies like
no,
that.
no, but it did go well.
Not at first.
Not at first. So what would have happened if what's her name?
I don't know.
I literally just saw this rom-com like a couple months ago. She was the Princess Diaries.
Okay, yeah.
Like, what was that actress's name? Damn it!
Well, I know the movie you're thinking about, but
she
you're a lot.
She played Batwoman. She played Catwoman. Anne Hathaway.
Anne
Damn
Hathaway.
it! But it's like, what would have effing happened if Anne Hathaway, 26 minutes into the movie, called Oprah to complain and be like, "Get me on your show, bitch, because I need to blow this up.
I'm gonna tell
you some shit right now." You know, be the worst movie ever, and it's like that's what they did.
I don't know. I feel like in today's world, people would eat that up.
Like that would be the movie.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a movie for sure. They're gonna make a movie of that.
I mean,
but it's just like, but have some self. You know what I mean? It's like self. It's just like.
But I think like in that scenario, I've read some articles about some like her past friends and stuff like that. Like that girl is she's devious.
Mm.
You know, like that. There's been reports that she's devious. That she knows what she's doing.
Right.
She knows the publicity, the brand. She's not dumb.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people run Kardashian down. and like, God, dumb broad, blah blah blah.
But she
It's
knows
like, no,
exactly.
no,
No, yeah,
that chick is a
yeah.
genius,
She knows.
and
Yeah,
like for you to think that that's what she
like
is,
that's not luck.
it's showing that you're the dumb one.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like,
Like the yeah, keeping up with Kardashians wasn't luck.
no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
and like every action she does, like they were talking about, there was a guy that dissects all of her posts, or
Oh, yeah,
he was
yeah,
dissecting a bunch of her posts. He's like a professor or whatever, right? And he was talking about like the placement of items within the picture.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, boobs are there to get your attention, but the her fan base is looking at what is
What's in
she
her like?
wearing?
Yeah, what's in her room?
What's the ring? What's the drink she's drinking? What's oh that bathing suit? What brand is that, right?
Yeah,
And then you just look in the hashtag and there's the brand, and then that boosted sales 25%.
yeah,
Like yeah, like for people to think, yeah, she's not dumb.
yeah.
And like kudos to her, because I mean that is, she's actually playing off of the dumb people.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around.
Right,
They're
right.
not playing her.
No.
She's playing them.
Yeah,
And and again, that's that interesting dynamic of that world, of actors, actresses, musicians. You know, that fame, that stardom. Like it is. It's its own world.
yeah.
It's so wild.
Like I think Dwayne Johnson has done at least in the time that when I was following him a lot more closely.
Yeah.
He was he did a really good job of like you get a feeling of what his day is.
Mhm.
His day is like.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Well, his
It's
work
it's
ethic.
brutal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's brutal. But that feeling of like, I think if people were able to see that
Mhm.
with more musicians, more actors, it would change people's perception a little bit
Yeah.
because it's like it is not fun. It's a horrible job. Yeah, you're
I
making like to be at the point where you're making it's like what good is $20 million if you physically can't spend it? Like where you literally need to hire someone. Hi, yeah, I need a new house that I'm gonna be at
for a long time.
once, but
Or
once in a
once in a blue
while.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but I'll have it. So you literally need to have like handlers and lawyers and just doing it.
But see, like I think a lot of those guys, me personally, if I had a lot of money, I don't know why you'd buy a house. I like most of those guys should be renting. But I think it's more business. It's like we need write-offs. The house is bought underneath the brand, to try and keep as much of that
Yeah.
money as possible, right? And it depends on the lifestyle. I'm always fascinated with the majority of them. So you talk like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You take you know well, any of these guys, even Bezos and whatnot. To me, I feel like they're very and it may be because of the society we live in and the way that the culture is. They're fairly humble. Like they are fairly like like Dwayne. Like when you got that much money, and it is he makes that money because of his physique, his build, his
Yeah.
acting's okay. Like
His charisma. He has an X factor.
He has he has a charisma that like an audience enjoys, right?
Yeah.
I feel he holds back a lot personally. Like I've seen some of his interviews and stuff. I think he could be a lot wilder and funner, but I don't think society lets him be that. I
Mhm.
think he has to stay pretty controlled and content, because I think if he said, it's the one thing like about a comedian, and we've talked about this before too. A comedian is so, I feel, free because they're saying the things without any intent of being mean. But because they're not like actors, like Joe Rogan is like, I'm not going to be an actor. It doesn't interest me, whatever. I want to do this because I can actually say what I want to say without any malicious intent.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's more people out there thinking this, and I can say it and be free with it
Yeah.
and not get ridiculed. People have tried. People have tried to shut him down on social media and Washington Post. They've attacked things he said about the vaccines and blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah. But he's just He's like
But
bulletproof.
he's bulletproof
yeah.
because it's not in. He's not malicious with his content. He's objective to what society's
Yeah.
direction is. And I feel like if Dwayne The Rock Johnson was let go a little bit, and he wasn't in that acting role where he's like he could lose a role because of saying something that maybe he wants to say. I don't know. I get this vibe from him that he's always holding back a little bit,
Mhm.
and that's what's holding. I feel like he could be a little bit more
Like more of like a better
a
actor.
better actor almost if he could just let go a little bit more, like because his interviews seem sometimes a little bit more controlled,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a good thing, I guess, to a certain extent. But it's kind of sad to watch. Val says it in his interview in that documentary. He says what people don't understand when we get paid all that money to do these movies, they're not just buying our talent to
No,
act.
that's right.
They're buying a piece of our life.
Yeah.
Like they're buying a year of our life. Um, and me and my wife were talking about this too because it's kind of a catch-22. It's a flip, but they're buying a piece of your life because you have to dedicate to that. You have to stay controlled. You got to
Yeah.
watch your p's and q's, dot your i's, cross your t's, not say anything out of the way to
Right.
jeopardize the studio's reputation, other actors, your cohorts,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, right? And then some actors, when they get into a role, it's like over the top. Like so he was talking about when he was in when he did the movie with the Doors. He was
Mm. Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison. He felt that the only way he could play Jim Morrison
Yeah.
was
To
to
become Jim Morrison.
become.
Yeah.
So he wore the tight leather pants.
Yeah.
He played the music 24/7. He moved. He walked. He
Yeah.
held the microphone. Everything he did. Ate breakfast like Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
He just studied gazillions of hours of
Yeah.
tape and just that was it, right? And if you're married or have kids, they will want to murder you
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's just this is not my this is not my husband. This is not my dad. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And but there's actors that can flip that where they can go on set. They were like Jim Carrey when he played was Man on the Moon. The comedian.
Yeah. Um.
Shit.
Yeah.
God, I'm horrible at this. Anyway, he played the character from Man on the Moon. I watched a bit of the behind the scenes of that, and like Jim Carrey became like a full blown prick. Like he became that guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was
They were
rude
even. They were even.
24/7.
They were even saying that like family members of that guy would visit the set and talk to Jim because they were like talking to
Yes,
they were still it was like
that's how
they
far
could
he
visit
went.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could actually like he
Yeah.
was like channeling him from
Yeah.
the dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's cool, wild
like you
stuff.
want to talk about dedication,
Yeah.
but we talk about that with Keanu Reeves, Bradley Cooper when he did A Team.
Hmm.
I know there was some special forces people reviewing him when he was off the side of a sea can and
Yeah.
he pops the clip and reloads, and they were just like, man, like he does that so it's insanely well,
Yeah.
and they said like Bradley was so into the role that he literally like just spent days, hours,
Yeah.
weeks, months just practicing, loading the gun, putting a gun together, all that sort of stuff. That's wild. Like
Yeah.
like they're more dedicated than the guys that do it for a living,
Right.
which is like
Because
holy.
it's all compressed too,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to catch up.
Yeah.
Like
In like a month.
In a month, yeah. You're like
Yeah.
you're doing this, and so it's like that's so in some yeah. Like I mean, in so many ways, the actors are, going back to it. Like it's just not. It's the idea that somebody could do it.
Yep.
Like you don't have like you know what I mean. It's like the average person doesn't have what it takes.
Yeah, no, like you have to like you don't just walk in.
Even if
Like
they were,
I'm 37 right now.
Yeah.
I don't just walk into that.
no.
I don't just go like, yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna become an actor.
Like I mean,
you
like
need me to be
like
Aquaman? I'll hit the gym today.
right.
Because now you want to get into
Like,
a
they could
whole
give you-
different mental game. Go to the physical and
They-
like
well, they
what
could-
those guys do to their bodies.
they could tell they could pick you
Yeah.
even if it was a role that was actually made sense for you. Like
Mhm.
let's say they didn't pick something out of the fucking blue,
Yeah.
but they watched this podcast. They're like, Bryce, like you'd be good for this, and they gave you a year.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
No.
You'd still get on set and be
Well, the only
know.
way you could do it is if you were like literally like 12 hours a day.
but even then,
But the mental game.
mentally,
If you
and,
didn't have the
and,
mental
and
game.
you're and
Yeah.
blowing your life up, and
Yeah.
like
Very true.
I mean, I think they operate on they just operate on like such a different.
But what they
level.
spend in personal trainers, nutritionists, and then training, whether it's
Yeah.
acrobatics, martial arts, whatever, like those guys are just machines. and that's just for the role. All of these guys and girls have other stuff on the side,
Yeah.
whether it's like makeup line, music, or
Well, yeah,
something
their
else, right? Like
brand,
their
they're
brand,
still building.
because they know acting's not going to carry them forever.
Yeah.
And I guess you could tailor your lifestyle. Like that's one thing I think is really cool about Robert Downey Jr. He's got that little farm,
That
like
little ranch,
a little
yeah.
ranch. Like I think that's like I think that's cool. He's a he's a intricate duck, but he's got some really like I love that whole vibe. And his wife, I love when actors, and we talked a lot about guys. We'll have to hop into the girls here really quick, but. A lot of those people that have found that soulmate that can keep them grounded,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell how much more it amplifies their roles, their acting,
Yeah.
their personalities. I think that's really cool. Like he's got a really interesting Robert Downey Jr.'s got a really interesting dynamic with his wife, which I think is really well, it's awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, there's so many Hollywood bumbles when it comes to relationships. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you can't really have, and I mean, I always I have a theory like we're animals,
yeah.
like we're just animals. So I just don't. If being an actor is being in the dealing with that emotion and conveying that emotion and like absorbing it and like telling a story and putting it out, and the producers and the directors are trying to like get that out of you,
Mhm.
it's almost like if I'm an actor and I'm married to an actress and we do 2 movies a year each or whatever, how many, it's like, and like, and we're opposite like a romantic interest. I don't think you can actually put that away.
Yeah.
I think it actually chemically affects you, where you like you
For
think you're in
sure.
love with this. Like you would get to that point if
Yeah.
it was like that much, and you have, and of course humans are humans. You'll have chemistry. You'll meet people in your life that you're just like, oh, we just,
Yeah.
you all say that, we just get along. It's so whatever. But it's like if you have that plus, they're like, all right, this is the steamy sex scene, or this is how you guys meet, and you're like falling in, you're like sort of falling in love like in real time.
Well, how many actors have married
Right.
their
And I think it's just
co-stars?
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just, or had affairs with their co-stars, or
Yeah.
like, or whatever. It's because it's just built in to like how humans.
Well, it's your workplace too, right?
Yeah.
Like because
And there's that
you get
too.
to like get to know this person acting intimately.
Yeah.
Then how do you shut that off when it's like, okay, cut, and then you go and sit down and have a coffee, waiting for the next scene to be, and then you start chatting, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Du-du-du-du,"
Yeah.
and then you're making a bond and a connection, and then
Yeah.
it's like,
Or if it's a shitty shoot,
Yeah.
if it's pouring rain,
Yeah.
if you're come with me if you want to live, and there's explosions, like
Yeah.
yeah, like like I mean, it's a
Well,
crazy toll, I think, mentally.
and if you take the time and you go and you research some of the actresses, especially child actors, but you go back to like Carrie, like the movie
Mhm.
Carrie, that girl had like mental turmoil,
Yeah.
from that movie,
Yeah.
and like though a Poltergeist, the girl that
Yeah.
played in Poltergeist,
Yeah.
same thing. Like,
Linda Blair from for The Exorcist, like
Yep.
she was
she was messed up from that movie.
Yeah,
and
being in that movie.
part of it is like because you get trained and told to just you have to buy into that role, like you become
Yeah,
like if you're scared, you have to act scared, you like think of stuff.
to be scared. Yeah,
Crazy thing, it's kind of on the same wavelength because the mind is so crazy. So there was a 30, I think she's 30-year-old Chinese business executive just the other week. She was taking a life coaching thing.
mm-hmm.
It was like 14 grand to take this course. She just died because they put her,
What?
they put her through such mental turmoil. Like they would put them in rooms with like music and like flashing lights. And it was to train these people. Like she had like billions of dollars of business acquisitions under her belt already. She's like 30. Like this woman, and she was very, very pretty. This woman's like she's like already like a business icon.
Yeah,
And she went and took some life coaching seminar, and they hit her with like psychological turmoil, and she just died. Like she had like a mental breakdown and literally like mentally killed herself. She didn't jump off a cliff. She just laid
stopped.
down and she stopped. And they said that it's from this course that she took, and it's this life course thing. You can Google it, like check it out. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
So now take an actor who gets so ingrained in the role where they're like, I have to be afraid of this thing coming out of the TV and it's coming at me and it's going to kill me. And
Yeah.
then you get your heart rate up and you have to force yourself to sweat and cry and like,
Well, and back then too,
man,
like all of it was practical effects.
yeah,
So like famously, Sigourney Weaver never met the guy who was in the alien suit. She's like, I don't want to see that guy. I don't want to see him out of that suit. I only ever want to see the alien when it's like coming
breaks
at
the
me.
illusion.
Right. Because so when she's like,
Wild.
so when she's like against the wall and the alien, the face is like,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's smoke and like, I'm getting scared just talking about it. Like, it's just like,
she's legit. Yeah.
like that's legit, like,
man.
so it's like if you're in a monster movie and stuff, or you're getting chased by something, or someone's hacking through the door coming at you, and it's like, or you have these, like those possession movies where so much of it is just makeup.
Yeah.
But it's physically
And
right
I
there,
think,
like man.
bringing that up actually, it's a good point because I think back then it was more horrific to do movies than it is today
100%.
because so much is like I'm just pretending that
Yeah.
tennis ball
Yeah, here
is
we
this
go. It's coming at
creature,
you.
it's
or
coming
like,
at
yeah,
it's a guy
you're
with
in
a
front of
pole.
a green screen.
So it's a
like,
lot different
yeah.
today for sure, unless you're in like a lover's role or like but you still gotta like go into your imagination and imagine what that is.
Well, even like, I mean, you see those behind the scenes of like the Marvel movies,
Yeah.
where it's like you see like when Avengers assemble, and
Yeah.
it's like, and you see what it is, and
giant
it's
green screen,
and he's just like, and
he's got little dots all
yeah,
over his face.
like you're
like, what?
yeah, you're like, how do you? You show up, you're like, I'm Captain America, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
And like you show up to set, and you're like, all right, where are we going? They're like, we're here, man.
Yeah.
This is it.
This is a giant blue room.
It's a
What are you talking about? Like, yeah. This is. Trust me. This is. Now imagine this is going to be foliage, and you're just going like, how the hell am I supposed
Like,
to remember my lines? I got to be imagining all this other stuff at the same
I
time.
always remember too, like, and it bugs me. I don't like it when they're like not in costume.
Mm.
When you can tell, like when Robert Downey Jr., it was only after like 2 years in, they just stopped putting him in the costume.
Yeah.
Because he's like, it's a lot of getting in and out of it, blah, blah, blah. I can't move how I want to move and I can't do this. But it's like, that's like, to be Iron Man, it's like to me, like when he's walking around in the suit and they're talking and his, helmet retracts and you see him and he's like in the actual suit, it's like, it gives you a bit of like, yeah, that's like a big piece of hardware. Like he's like having to move in this thing. Whereas like by the end, by Endgame and Infinity War, when you could just see that it's the CGI just starts like right here.
Yeah.
And it's like they almost look less bulky too. It was almost like
Oh yeah, it looked like he was wearing like spandex.
Spandex,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and that's what they were. They were wearing
That's
spandex.
why I have always, like, even to this day, all the movies I've seen, there's been some great ones, hands down. But Tim Burton, Batman original,
Yeah.
and Batman 2 even returns, right? Real rubber.
Yeah.
Real latex. Real light.
Yeah. Real cars.
Real cars. Like everything. Batman Returns got a little bit out there for me. Not lots though.
Mhm.
But like when you think of Danny DeVito, like the makeup, like no CGI.
Yeah.
Like it's makeup, the nose, the hair.
He said he
the
would be.
teeth.
He said he would be
the-
like. He would be just wrecked by the end of the day
Yeah.
because he was the suit put him in like this like
Mhm.
hunched position.
Yeah.
Just like
But just
Yeah.
the realness and the rawness of it all, like it sells it. Like
Yeah.
like you could watch Batman and you'd be like, this is a legit dude. Like this is real. Like it's this happened.
Yeah.
It's so I love that. The gentleman that played what's his name there from Lord of the Rings, the creature,
Gollum.
Gollum.
Yeah.
No, not Gollum.
Yeah, Gollum.
Smeagol.
It's Gollum.
Gollum? Is that okay?
Gollum Spiegel.
It's been so long since I've watched it.
He's
Yeah.
multiple personalities.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So that guy is also playing what's the other character that he's playing coming up? Anyway, he was talking about how that role ruined his voice and his body because he had to be like he would be on the rocks and he'd be hunched over and then he'd be doing that voice and and they doing that for like so long,
Yeah.
just trash trash your voice,
Yeah.
trash your body, you know, just because you're just hunched over like that for so long.
He was awesome in that. He's awesome as that South African claw
Oh
in
yeah,
uh,
I know.
oh my god.
Yeah, man, we're brood.
Andy
Yeah,
Serkis,
okay.
Ultraman in Age of Ultron, and then in Black Panther he
Yes,
played Claw.
yeah, yes. But and he's playing somebody else. Who's he playing right now, Ryan? He's oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's playing Alfred in the new Batman? Oh, sweet. Oh no, isn't he the director for Venom 2? And
What?
he's talking about all the CGI and stuff like that in it. Am I like losing it? I thought yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Snook, that's right.
I'm always
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's kind of like Waititi. Like you don't realize all the things he's done, and he
Mhm.
just kind of didn't really step into the limelight until Thor
Yeah.
Ragnarok, and then you start researching him. You're like, man, this guy's done all sorts of stuff. Like there's so many of those behind the scenes people that are actually like they played iconic characters that
Mhm.
you don't.
I think Spider-Man's going to be my first movie back to the theater
Oh yeah,
if we're
I think
allowed
so.
to,
Yeah,
if we're allowed to go.
I'm really hoping they release it on digital. I actually just want to watch it at home. I know. You and I are polar opposites there.
Yeah.
Like, because we bought Black Widow, we bought Jungle Cruise. I
Ye-
loved it. I loved it, just chilling at home and just cranking the TV, having a rum
I
and
didn't like
coke. And
see, speaking of holding back, I thought The Rock and Jungle Cruise weak.
it-
I thought he didn't have like
yeah,
there
I
was
agree.
some
I agree.
it was a
I'll
little
agree with you
robotic.
on that
I
one.
don't know why, but it was a little stiff.
Yeah. The my biggest thing, and I mean, it's got to be hard for Hollywood to do this, but my biggest thing is like I felt like I've seen it already
Yes.
from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like they did
And The Mummy.
all
I found
and
in
the
The Mummy. Like
Well, the Mummy is definitely like you want to talk about the evolution of technology. Watch the Mummy, Brendan Fraser, and then watch the Mummy with Tom Cruise.
yeah, but okay,
But but then even just watch Mummy with Brendan Fraser and then watch Pirates of the Caribbean. The CG technology
yeah.
is just
But you watch
crazy.
The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and then you watch Tom Cruise's Mummy, and then you see the creative bankruptcy
That's true too. On the story.
on the story side of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
You know, or like
I really wish, and I hope they revive this thing because that was the whole Dark Horse universe with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Mummy
yeah.
and like
the
Dracula
Dark
and
Universe, yeah.
Frankenstein and like Wolfman with Benicio del Toro was supposedly somehow
Supposed to be.
tied to that somehow. I saw a picture and they had Idris Elba was in there as well. They had the Invisible Man, Tom Cruise, but they have a picture of like these group of people that were supposed to play this series out,
Mhm.
which was that Dark Horse series. I don't know, like I know the Mummy got bad reviews. I liked it.
I didn't like it.
I liked it a lot.
Really?
I
didn't like
thought
it.
that it was just
That was
neat. I just and I feel like there was a lot of potential to build on it. Like now that he had become the Mummy, and then like there's the Wolfman out there, and like you ever watch League of Extraordinary
that was
Gentlemen?
fun.
Okay,
That
it
was
was a fun movie.
It was fun. It was pretty bad, but it was fun.
It was bad but fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I liked the premise that you could run the league. See, you could start over with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and like Marvel did, and have
The origin
10
stories.
years of movies
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
could have a Mummy 1, 2, 3, Invisible Man 1, 2, 3, you know, Nemo 1, 2, 3, and build it into this epic ending. You know, that would have you could do that, and I feel like you could do that with that Dark Horse series too, and it would be great. It would be great.
Yeah.
But from a storytelling perspective, director like between Kevin Feige and like his whole team, we need 5 of those teams that are all going in a different direction because like what they're doing with Star Wars, amazing. What they've done with the Marvel universe, amazing. I'm a little anxious to see what they do carrying forward. I saw a post yesterday that said if they had ended it, if they had ended the MCU, just ended it
Yeah.
with Infinity War,
Yeah.
it would have been like the most epic gangsta movie ever.
Mic drop.
It was just
yeah.
mic drop, just like Spider-Man's dead, everyone else is dead, Tony's just gone. Like if they had just ended it with that movie, they're like, yeah, that would have been gangsta. Like, so crazy.
But I mean, there's nowhere. But that's the truth. Is like when you look at those two movies, the culmination of 10 years of movies, nowhere to go but down.
That's true.
Really. So I think what'll happen is we'll see a decline.
Yeah.
Phase 4 is going to be like, it's gonna be like me.
But
Like I
also,
was
like,
not excited. Like Black Widow sucked. WandaVision, meh. Falcon Winter Soldier sucked. Like killed those characters.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Loki sucked. It was so stupid.
It was just long.
And it was boring.
It
And it
was
was
long.
long. And it was just like I
Like,
just
they had some neat things in there, and maybe we're just not big enough fans. Like,
no,
I'll
you will
give
not
that.
find a bigger fan than me.
Okay.
But and that is why I didn't like it, because it was just you can't. It's almost like they were going back and ruining the moments from the 10 years. Like that's what bugged me about it. Where it's like,
Could this be their ploy? Could they be ruining it to build you back up?
maybe, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe it'll be phase 5 where you get that epic.
Right. You know, one thing we haven't talked about:
Hmm.
Eternals. Eternals
Yeah,
dropped.
it looks like junk. Like
It
doesn't make
looks,
any sense.
Okay, so Marvel was rocking and rolling. They had all their movies going, and then they had that Eternals thing
Yeah.
come out. That series, that television series, The Eternals, or no, Inhumans. Inhumans. Sorry.
Yeah, that was different.
They had the Inhumans, right?
Which kind of bombed.
Like I couldn't even watch the first 30 minutes of the first episode. It was just the acting is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The acting, the story.
But that was a
like,
network production though, so that's
correct.
So,
but it was like they were doing other stuff. Like I thought Agent Carter was decent. Like it was, you knew it was low budget, but like I knew it was decent, and it was like she was a strong character, right? You know, from Captain America originally, and then they pushed her out into that, and then they had the Agents of Shield was I feel like they butchered Ghost Rider in that whole thing. Like if they do a Ghost Rider, they got to keep him dark. Like they got to keep him dark, like Venom, maybe even darker. Like I'd like to see it like
properly.
and like that's the whole like Ghost Rider, Mephisto, Punisher, because the comics were dark. Like I've got some old Punisher comics and Punisher Ghost Rider crossover comics, and they're like, it's like I even just the art of the book, because it's so old, the ink was old, and it was very pixelated, but it was just dark. Like it added to the vibe of the book, right? And so I hope they do that again. The struggle that the studios are having, I think, is appeasing the old and retaining or creating a new audience.
Well, you're creating, but that's
a tough balance.
But the thing that's messed up is like they did it already. Like they know the formula, because it's like, do you think a 14-year-old girl, Captain America, like, do you think she cares? Or Thor?
Yeah.
You had to make them care, right? You had to like,
but that was the joys of like creating, like with Stark, they through the 3 Iron Man movies themselves, and even just the subtle tie-ins of him and the other, you know, they really told that you got to know him.
Yeah.
So when he died at the end, like Civil War was when you were like, I don't know, Civil War was a real buy-in for me for Stark, because it was really like I can see how like conflicted this character is, and like I feel how conflicted he is over this whole thing. And like then with Ultron and the whole like that's Jarvis, and like it's a suit around the world, and like protect my family but protect people,
but you only get that with time.
Exactly.
So Eternals,
and consistency throughout.
So Eternals, for instance, like I mean, it's 9 characters or 7 characters or whatever.
Too much.
It's like, so you're not gonna buy in on those.
Yeah.
You know, those people.
Yeah.
And also they're detached. That would be more like the problem that like DC has, where like those people are detached from the human condition, because they're not like they're not human, right? So you can't like, so it's just gonna be pardon my language, but it's just gonna be like a CGI like fuck fest, where it's just a bunch of crap that and it's gonna be 2 hours and 10 minutes, and at the end you're just gonna say,
what did I just watch?
What did I just? It was the same thing.
I'm really hoping that we're amping ourselves up with all this negativity,
hopefully,
and we're surprised.
Nothing would please me more.
Me too.
You know, nothing would please me more. But you know, it was like I'll be the first to like put my hand up, and be like, yeah, I was wrong about Wonder Woman. Not about the second movie because it's a piece of crap, but I mean, when they casted Gal Gadot, I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's gonna be what the hell? That's gonna be junk.
Yeah.
She was awesome. So, and Ant-Man, I'm like, that's gonna be a stupid movie. It was awesome.
It was. Well,
You know?
but character,
Yeah.
Paul Rudd,
Yeah.
like Paul Rudd, actor, like
he's a delight.
and it's like I was watching a video the other day about like all the people who were also considered for those roles. So like
And they just wouldn't have done it, eh?
yeah, so like Tom Cruise was considered for or no, sorry, Leonardo DiCaprio was considered for Spider-Man. And like I they show pictures of him and stuff. I'm like, oh, like that would not.
Yeah.
But had we not known Tom Hiddleston or sorry, Tom Holland and
Mhm.
whatnot, we would maybe we'd have a different vibe, right? And
Yeah.
like their take on it and stuff like that. I love there was a thing where it said another graphic I saw, and it said if Marvel was made in the '90s, and they casted all these people
Yeah.
differently. So Tom Cruise was Stark, and I can't remember who all the characters were they had like as Captain America, and
Yeah.
but it was all these like '90s like rock
Yeah,
stars,
yeah.
when in that acting era, and it was cool to kind of imagine. Oh yeah, like what would that be? I remember, and I have a boatload of them still in storage. My Wizards,
Mhm.
Wizard
Yeah, Wizard
Comics.
Comics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that. I had that
And in
magazine.
every
They had a fan
one,
casting.
they had a fan casting,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I loved that. And like I remember like looking at that when I was a kid, and I'm going like, man, like make this movie, like this would be awesome, like that person would be great for that, and like, but it's cool because those books are so old now. Like I bought them all when I was in the '90s, and looking back at them, remembering actors
Yeah.
too, they're just like, oh yeah, like that guy, like he could have played Ghost Rider like so good, and this and that, right?
Yeah.
The other thing about the Marvel thing that's really bugging me is the time travel thing. The time travel in this multiverse, neat, but it kind of ruins the fact that it's like, well, if anything happens, we can just go back in time. We did it once, let's do it again.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
You
kind
go
of
through a door that can't close because then
yeah. So like the stakes are gone,
yeah.
and I was really if it was anything, that's the one thing that bugged me the most about Infinity War, because they could have just done it where like Thanos didn't destroy the stones, and they had to go and get them back,
Yeah.
and then they could snap it and bring it back.
Yeah, yeah.
Had Thanos not destroyed the stones, they wouldn't have had to have done time travel, and I feel like they would have left.
Well, and then you still could have had that ridiculous battle at the end because Thanos
Yeah.
could have just been like, "Hey, where are the stones? Okay, I'm getting them. I'm like like
I will fight you
I'll
all and
fight
get
you
them
all. Yeah, I'll
back.
get them back,
Yeah.
or I'll get one or whatever." So it's like, yeah, they could have like. There's
Yeah.
a lot of ways that when somebody's, I mean, they did do a good job of the people that were dead were dead.
That's true.
Like
Yep.
that. Sorry, that were killed, not that were snapped, but
Yeah.
that were killed.
Yes.
Stayed.
Yeah, so
killed.
like Vision, right?
Vision,
was gone
yeah,
before WandaVision,
yeah.
right? So that was like legit. It's over, right?
Yeah.
Loki, gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
and I hate to say it, but they should have just left it that way.
I agree.
Because then there's stakes. It makes it just more real.
Yeah.
And then you would have killed them on a good note. Like it would have been on a good note. Not that they're dead, but would have been on a good note for the movie's theme vibe.
Yeah.
There's real stakes.
Yeah.
Now there's no real stakes.
No.
And that's too bad, because it's a story flaw that if they had not gone that direction,
Yeah.
they could have just kept it going. And bringing like all the other Spider-Mans in.
It's gonna be fan service, but the movie looks great. We'll
Yep.
go back. We'll wrap
Yeah,
it
yeah,
up with
yeah.
the first thing, but like the movie looks great,
Yep.
and it's because it is Marvel. It's gonna be good,
Yep.
and it'll be fun and stuff. But you're right. It's sort of like you get that vibe of like, okay, they could always just. There's going to be another Spider-Man somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, so who cares what happens to this? Who cares what happens to this guy? The whole Ironheart thing where it's going to be that girl builds an Iron Man suit. Like,
Right.
that's the new Iron Man. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you doing? Like, let it.
I think they should have still used the kid.
Oh, that other kid. Yeah. Yeah.
I because like that kind of launches that guy's career too, but also it just been it would have been a great legacy piece, because it's like this is how much Stark touched
Yeah.
the lives of the people that
Yeah.
he interacted with. And even though Iron Man 3 was kind of like a
Yeah.
it would kind of bring more relevance back to that, you know? And I think you should ride that train as much as possible where if you can bring people back to the old movies,
Yeah.
then you're the longevity of that movie
Right. Whereas like
is
now it seems
long.
like they're shitting on all the old movies and the old
Exactly. Like,
characters,
oh, okay,
and
well that's
that's
done.
done. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
get rid of it. And that could be a shame because those were done so well.
Well, it's just like
Try and get as much life out of them by referencing it.
the Loki, like perfect example, like that Loki wasn't the Loki that
No,
attacked.
that was a whole different
That was a
person.
whole different person. And
Yeah.
it's like you can say, well, let me watch the video and blah blah. No, it's like he wouldn't have even believed the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the thing, right? He wouldn't have even, and then the powers were so messed up. Like
Yeah.
it's like, so is he a god or no?
Yeah.
It's like you're in a fist fight with Thor
Yeah. And going toe
and
to toe.
going toe to toe with Thor,
Yeah,
and then
you
all
get
of a sudden
walloped by some yuppie in a
well, like
in a
but it's
suit.
like, but then it's like what is like what is what, right? It's just
yeah.
like that's anyway. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay.
we gotta wrap it up.
We got to bounce. You
First one
betcha.
back.
First one back. See you next week.
See you next week.
We'll be
Promise.
back.
We
Promise.
promise
We're
this
gonna do this shit. All right.
Okay.
Okay, peeps.
Peeps.
Everybody stay safe. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
Stay safe.
Be cool. Peace.